The NFL Players Association came out with their report cards, and there are some doozies out there and some unexpected stuff from my perspective. For instance, let's just dive into this a little bit, Chris.
Let's get it. Let's
Like
get it.
Kansas City Chiefs, Super
Right.
Bowl champions. Overall, they were despicable on this. And
Right.
so, I mean, basically they are saying that the Chiefs treat their families bad. The facilities are horrible. I mean, the Chiefs got horrible grades across the board, but
Right.
yet they won the Super Bowl. So
I
I
mean,
guess my question to you is it better to have better facilities or is it better to win Super Bowls?
I think that you've been there, right? The expectations climb a little bit when you're winning. So if I win the Super Bowl, cafeteria not good enough. If I win the Super Bowl, training staff not good enough, right? Where did they get their Fs? If I got my notes right, like the locker room and the dietitian. I
Yes.
mean, yeah, dietitian, whether you recommending too much barbecue, like I don't know. I mean, like the dietitian was a problem in the Midwest only on the NFLPA score, but I don't know. I mean, the locker room's trash, but I don't get in that. But
Oh yeah. The
their
stadium's 100
expectations
years
are
old.
right, right. And
So
I think the Chiefs also got an F on training staff, but that's because
yeah.
people were expecting them to fix bad hands, and that you can't. It don't happen. You can't go over to the trainer after you drop a pass. Nothing he can do for you. That's just ability. So
You're right. And I'm trying to figure out, does it equate like does winning, or does this report card equate to winning or not? Because I'm sitting here looking at it and it's like the Chargers, they were worse than the Chiefs and they sucked. So it's
right,
like, what's going on here? But the San Francisco 49ers, they did well and they were in the Super Bowl. They were a couple of plays away from actually winning the Super Bowl. So I don't know, man. I mean,
I
does it
I
equate
don't.
to winning?
No, I don't think it equates at all. I think it's some accountability for these ball clubs. We watch these guys on the biggest stage every Sunday and expect the world out of them, and they just get to finally go back and score the trainer and the dietitian and strength coach. There was some strength coach with some D's out there. Pause. And I don't even get how that happens in the NFL. Like surely they've been lifting weights before. They've got their own routine. So I don't
Right.
even understand that.
Well, here's the thing that, I brought this up earlier in the lives that I do in the morning on the Big B Daily Shows. This little selfless plug there. It comes on 9 a.m. On YouTube, by the way.
Okay.
But so I got a lot of pushback when I brought this topic up, basically saying that the guys are just a bunch of spoiled, immature babies and they want everything handed to them. And I'm like, is it asking too much to not have slop served to them when they go to eat lunch? Or like the Bengals were having everybody pay for lunch. That
Right.
was the pushback there, is that they had to buy the lunch. Is that asking too much, or am I in the wrong here?
That's the same guy who expected them to win the Super Bowl every year, right? So
Yes.
going to him and saying, "Hey, is 8 and 9 good enough?" Oh, absolutely not. We expect the world. Come on. These guys have high expectations, and deservedly so. We're expecting a lot out of them. So get out of here with the expectations. Take the accountability and move on. I do find it, weird that what the Bengals had an F2, right, in the
Yeah.
cafeteria.
Yeah.
And you and I have had this discussion a bunch, but they probably were serving that four-way, that three-way, four-way shit, chili with noodles underneath it. If you just take the noodles out and serve chili like regular folks, then they probably grade would have picked up. But the Bengals, Cincy, I think that's the home of that three-way, four-way, whatever it is, a bad excuse for spaghetti masquerading as chili.
First
So
of all, there's a lot of people. I shouldn't say a lot of people. There's people from my hometown that watch this, that tune in. And
I'm
they're going to
sorry.
tell you that Skyline chili is the best chili out there. Okay?
Right?
So enough with the bashing of the spaghetti noodles. I know I've told you the story a million times. I
Right.
never even saw chili and that without noodles until I was 21 years old. I didn't even know it existed. Didn't know it existed. That's always how everybody in my family, that's just how they made it. It had chili. And Skyline is the best. So stop bashing on Skyline chili. But you are right. The Bengals, I don't know what's going on. I mean, all of that was bad. Everything to do with the Bengals is bad. but they've
Yeah.
been bad forever. But here's one that'll surprise you, Chris. The Steelers. The
Right.
Steelers was awful. Their report
Doesn't
card was
surprise me.
awful. The only thing that they did good on was head coach. Other
Right.
than that, everything was awful. And I'm like, man, but I mean, do the players just not like being at some of these places, or what's going on here?
Speaking of accountability, Big B, I think you called for Tomlin's head a couple times, and the players seem to love him, right? Has he lost the locker room and all that? But we'll get into that a little bit later. But yeah, the Steelers, if you remember right, who used to own the field? What was the field called?
It used to be Heinz Field.
Right. Anytime that your field is named after condiments, the food's bad, right? I mean, come on, you're already admitting you got to spice it up. So I mean, that one didn't surprise me one bit. Maybe it did for you.
Did you have any surprises out there? Did you think that anybody that you thought would be good that was bad, and vice versa? Anybody that was bad that you thought would be good?
No, so probably shame on me. I focus on the F's because I wanted to chuckle, and I think the Saints having bad food was crazy.
That's insane.
I mean, most of those players aren't from there. They get down. I guess they're just putting Tony Sacheries on everything and trying to call it Creole. But that was incredible. And then the Falcons facilities, right? Like,
they're all brand new.
Locker room and weight room. So you know how Atlanta is. Not enough twerk out benches is what my joke was. I wrote for that one. But come on, like Atlanta. Man, it's not, I expected the Mercedes-Benz Dome and all that stuff to get better scoring than it did. But little disappointed in both the New Orleans food and the Atlanta twerk out facilities. So
see, the thing is, I thought that we were going to be able to the bad owners, we were going to be able to match it up directly to what is associated. And okay, you know what? There's bad owners. And for some of it, like Arizona, horrible locker room.
Yep.
The owners don't care. The Bengals charging guys for food, stuff like that. But it wasn't that way across the board, man. Like, how does the Bears have a good locker room and a good weight room, but then their team stinks? I don't get it.
Well, a locker room is a lot about a feeling. We've always talked about that. And, the Bears probably just had that common feeling, they had that common enemy, they winning. So they probably were united and just being an absolutely crappy team, and it kept them together. But, the Cardinals didn't surprise me at all. I think the Chargers surprised me a little bit. They got an F in cafeteria, and they're, I'm like, man, is it, they go all vegan or what happened out there? And then you're right, it didn't correlate. They had some really good scores, other than was it childcare? They had a real bad childcare, and they had at one point both of the guys with 12 kids apiece, Cromartie and Rivers. So I figured they would have a built-in, daycare, gymnasium, and all that kind of stuff. So
they wore them out. They wore out their welcome with all the kids. And people, we're not watching all these damn kids during the game. They quit. All the people quit. Now the facilities are trash.
Well, how are you charging us per kid? These are the players. How are you charging to watch your kids? Well, they should say like the first 4 are free, but come on, 12 at some point they've got a whole undergrad class themselves. So
correct. I think we would be remiss though if we didn't bring up the Dolphins. A's in everything. Across the board, the Dolphins got an A in everything. So, again, their owner, I mean, he's kind of a flashy guy, made his money in real estate. So, what does he want to do? He wants to show off his facilities, show everybody that he runs everything first class. So, he shows it off. Other people, not so much. Like the Steelers, we made our money in dog racing, with dog tracks. We don't give a damn about showing anybody anything. I think that kind of speaks for itself.
whenever you see grades like that, I mean, Brian, you and I both been in some of those classes. When everybody's getting an A across the board, you got to try to take a look at something, and there's some answers getting copied, or they don't want you to take a deep dive. So I think those Miami guys are like, if we scored all A's, nobody's going to investigate. So they might be getting some perks, some South Beach perks or something like that.
So we got a comment about some chili from Darren Howard. Said chili has to really be bad to be called bad. How you mess up chili? Yeah, I don't know. But
Yeah, I
apparently
mean,
you can't. What are you not cooking the meat all the way through? Was the meat medium rare or something like that? Can't have
man,
medium rare chili.
for me, it's the amount of beans. Like beans should be breaking up the meat. You should have a little bit of fiber and some meat in there. But when everybody's got like the 3 bean and 5 bean and just a bowl of beans with meat sauce, it starts missing for me. So watch your beans out there.
Yeah.
Is really the only way you can mess up some chili.
Pause, Jiminy Christmas. Watch your
Oh yeah,
beans out there.
my
Lord
my
have
bad,
what's
my
going
fault,
on here? My
my
goodness.
fault.
First part of the show and already, Lord
Yeah.
have mercy.
My bad. My bad. Another thing is these guys on the facilities, the players that have the more veteran teams, they don't know bad until they see something else. So I don't know because I'm not that in the weeds, but do the Dolphins have a bunch of first and second year guys or first contract guys that haven't seen
Mm.
the full thing? So
That could be true. That could be true. It's kind of like growing up. When you grow up as a kid, your parents don't really have a whole lot of money, but you think they
right,
have a whole lot of money because you as a kid never missed out on anything. And then when you get as an adult, you're like, oh, wow, we didn't have, my mom went without everything. My parents sacrificed everything for us,
right.
but they really didn't have a whole lot. Is that the same thing or am I going over the top?
Uh I don't think I think it's I don't know if that's the same thing, but I think it's very similar. I'll give you that. Is that you don't have anything to compare it to, and you maybe don't know what it takes to get there, right?
That's true.
So for them to get something going on Three Rivers, they probably just got to tear that whole thing down, which isn't possible. You
I
know,
got you.
so
I got you. I got you.